He wasn't supposed to win. He was too loud, too gay, too different for the politics of his time. But Harvey Milk didn't run for office to fit in. He ran to be seen and to make others feel seen. At a time when being openly gay could mean losing your job, your family, or your life, Harvey Milk stood up and spoke into the silence. Harvey Bernard Milk was born in 1930 in Woodmore, New York, into a traditional Jewish family. He played football, joined the Navy, studied math, and tried, for a long time, to live a quiet life. Like many gay men of his generation, Harvey kept his identity hidden. He followed the expected path: school, service, career, but never felt like himself. That began to change in the 1970s. America was going through upheaval. Vietnam protests, civil rights movements, feminist awakenings. Harvey moved to San Francisco, a city that was already becoming a haven for outsiders, dreamers, and those who had been told they didn't belong. There, in the Castro district, Harvey found more than a home. He found a community. At first, he was just a guy running a small camera shop on Castro Street, but something was happening. Gay men and lesbians, often ignored or criminalized, were starting to demand visibility, respect, and rights. And Harvey Milk, with his booming laugh, infectious energy, and razor-sharp political mind, realized the movement needed a voice inside the system. So he ran for office and lost. Then ran again and lost again. But each campaign grew louder. His message became clearer. Gay people are everywhere. Teachers, doctors, firefighters, neighbors. And they deserve the same rights as anyone else. It wasn't about special treatment. It was about fairness. In 1977, on his fourth attempt, Harvey Milk was elected to the San Francisco Board of Supervisors, becoming one of the first openly gay elected officials in the United States. His victory was historic, but it wasn't just for him. It was for everyone who had been told to stay invisible. In office, Harvey wasn't just a gay politician. He fought for renters, seniors, small business owners, union workers. But he also knew that symbols matter. Representation matters. He made it a point to be loud, because silence had never protected anyone. His speeches were passionate, his smile disarming. He made people laugh, even when talking about deadly serious things. One of his most important fights was against Proposition 6, also known as the Briggs Initiative, a statewide ballot measure in California that would have banned gay and lesbian teachers from working in public schools. It was hateful and dangerous, and for a while, it looked like it might pass. But Harvey went to work. He traveled across the state, debated opponents, spoke to crowds big and small. He didn't just talk to gay people. He talked to parents, to union members, to conservative voters. He reminded them that fear is not a foundation for policy, that bigotry disguised as morality is still bigotry. And it worked. Proposition 6 was defeated in November 1978. It was a moment of triumph, a rare victory in a time when most LGBTQ+ people still lived in fear and in hiding. But then, just 20 days later, the unthinkable happened. On the morning of November 27, 1978, Harvey Milk and San Francisco Mayor George Moscone were assassinated inside City Hall by former Supervisor Don White, a man who had recently resigned and was seeking reappointment. The city was devastated. The LGBTQ+ community was devastated. Harvey had known that his life was at risk. He'd even recorded a tape months earlier saying, "If a bullet should enter my brain, let that bullet destroy every closet door." In death, Harvey Milk became even more powerful. Candlelight vigils stretched for blocks. People who had never voted, never marched, never spoken openly about who they were, stood up. They cried. They shouted. And they began to organize like never before. Harvey's life wasn't perfect. He wasn't a saint, but he was brave. He believed that if you have no voice in the system, you must become the voice. That if you are not invited to the table, you build your own table and bring others with you. His story reminds us that visibility is not vanity. It's survival. That change doesn't come from politeness, but from persistence. And that sometimes the most radical thing you can do is simply be who you are, loudly and without apology. Today, Harvey Milk's name is on schools, streets, and parks. He was posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. But more importantly, his message lives on in every LGBTQ+ candidate who runs for office, every teenager who comes out to their parents, every person who decides to live openly and without shame. He once said, "Hope will never be silent." And it hasn't been, because Harvey Milk showed a generation, and every generation since, that the most powerful change often begins with a simple act of showing up exactly as you are.